I mean, I was thinking about this because with last week's guest as well. But we've known each other for a very long time because you met some. I was at school with a guy called Steve Cheek, and you met him at university and started doing a double act with him, and I'd done comedy with him at school, and so. Yeah, we met each other when we were sort of 18 or 19, and you were doing stand-up comedy like on the London circuit, I think before we did. So you were sort of there in the late 80s.
19, yeah, late 80s.
Yeah. So you sort of really were part of that. You know, it's the era that Stuart Lee dreams of being involved in. And has tried to create the rest of his life to try and make out he was there. But he started in 1989. You actually played like the Tunnel Club and things like that, which were just sort of closing, I think, just as I started.
The Tunnel Club was the most... I'll tell you a tunnel.
Yeah, tell us about the tunnel. Well, it's Malcolm Hardy again.
Malcolm Hardy. Oi, fuck it. It's like he's here. It was the roughest club in the whole of London, perhaps in the world, perhaps since Romans used to throw Christians to lions. It was that level of tough. They would heckle you on and coin you off. But it was like a game, open spots particularly. What people didn't know about Malcolm was if you asked him for a gig, he'd give you a gig. If you asked him for an open spot, he'd give you an open spot. But if you asked him for a gig, he'd give you a pay gig. But no one knew that. Also, you had to check the money always. He'd give you the money, then there's always a fiver missing. But I remember I was sat in the toilets once, and two blokes talking to each other, and also it was rough. One night they heckled off all the acts within 20 minutes. Any other club, that's a disaster, but for the Tunnel, it was victory. The one thing you couldn't do is come down and trot out your jokes, your material. They were very good. Jim Tavray used to have a massive double bass. He got heckled, midget with a violin. And there's a film about the Tunnel called The Tunnel, I believe, and the only existing footage from the Tunnel is me dying. And there's the heckles go, cab for Simon Munnery, I'll pay, pass the hat round. Anyway, one night I'm in the toilets at the Tunnel, because I loved it, the atmosphere, and two blokes talking to each other. One says to the other one, it's been a good night, and the other one goes, yeah, it has. But if Malcolm gets his bollocks out, it's going to be a great night. One night, someone was there, just leaning on this door at the back, fire escape, and the door opened, and he just disappeared into the blackness. Hilarious. Dragged himself out of the mud, came back, and Malcolm said, 20 quid, do it next week. Another Malcolm story. Malcolm's standing in the street, car comes around the corner really fast, followed by a police car, even faster. The police car's too fast, skids, hits the curb, ends up on its roof, skids to a halt in front of Malcolm. Malcolm taps on the window, policeman winds his window up, and Malcolm says, is this your car?
So, crazy times back in the 1980s. But you know have you done every possible Edinburgh?
I missed one.
Yeah, you missed one.
Oh no, and COVID.
Yeah.
No, I missed COVID.
Yeah,
and
everyone missed COVID.
I know. Arthur Smith went, I think.
Oh, did he?
Some people went. Street performers, I met my country, they go, no, that was the best year. we cleaned up. So I missed the COVID one, but every other year. And one other year when I set up Club Zarathustra in Islington, so I didn't go that year either, but every other year I've been.
Yeah. Are you going to continue? You're going up again?
Well, I'm hoping eventually to get a parking permit.
Yes.
Or some sort of dispensation from the council.
Yeah, I don't think they care.
No.
I don't think you get anything for
you don't get anything, no.
Edinburgh. I did once get a parking permit in Edinburgh by pretending that I'd moved there.
Oh, yeah.
And I got to park right in the centre of Edinburgh. It was incredible. I had to go into the play. I had to go into the council and say, yeah, I've moved here and I'm going to be here for the Edinburgh Fringe, but I'm living here now.
Right.
And it worked.
Wow.
And then I just didn't. I left at the end of August.
Nice.
Laughing up my sleeve.
I go by train usually.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you don't. I mean, the older I've got, the more stuff I've got to take out. If I go up, I'm not going to go up ever again. I'm not going to go up this year.
Really? Oh.
I don't. It's got too expensive. I don't like it. I don't like the expense.
I don't like expense. Right.
For everyone else, other than myself. Go on.
Not last year, but the year before, I was doubly let down on accommodation front. For years, I've rented a flat above the stand.
Yeah.
And 2 years ago, the landlord said, "Oh, you can't have it because I've rented it out to the National Portrait Gallery, presumably to store pictures." I don't know why they need a bathroom, but anyway, that's what he'd done. But he said, "You can have it next year." And so I camped, right? Morton Hall Caravan Park. No, but not proper. I drove up.
Yeah.
I had a massive tent, electric hookup, heating, lighting, and power supply, so I could heat. I could charge the battery in my electric bike. And I was on a bit of a health kick. I used to cycle into the Commonwealth pool, swim half a kilometre, cycle to the gig, do the gig, cycle back. And it was great until I started losing the use of my arm. That ended up in A&E for 14 hours. Yeah, don't go there. It really is overstretched, not joking. The first time I went, I did 7.5 hours. And I eventually saw a doctor, and she was a bit frazzled, and she said, I was just in immense pain. I was on codeine, Nurofen, paracetamol, anything I could get. And she said, "Oh, do this with your arm, do that with your arm." Yeah. And she just dropped it in beautifully. By the way, I won't be prescribing anything. Oh, thank you. But she left. I left with hope. And it works out very well for doctors that they leave you with hope. Because they often say things like, come back if it doesn't get better. And because the miraculous thing is the body heals itself. Surgeons just take the credit. It works out very well. You go back, you should come back if it gets worse. Anyway, she said, I said, "Oh, would it be all right if I went swimming?" She went, yeah, it's fine. Oh, and go to Boots and get a heat pad and put it on. I got caught at the campsite at 3 a.m. rubbing deep heat on my shoulder because I couldn't sleep for more than an hour. And the night watchman came around, and I had the world service on this tiny little transistor radio trying to take my mind off the pain. And the night watchman opens the tent at 3 a.m. and he goes, "This is the world service. Very quiet. She said, you're not allowed to play music after 11 o'clock. I said, "I'm in pain." He said, "I can smell it." Anyway, after I left the doctor, went out, tried to swim, did half a length, went, "Oh no, I'm losing." That's why I went to the hospital, not just because I'm in intense pain, but it's getting worse and I can't sleep, and I'm losing the use of my arm. So I went back to the hospital, said, "What time?" I went to the reception, said, "What time is it going to be quietest?" And she just laughed. About 4:30 a.m. I said, "Well, I'll be up then." So anyway, it got to about 11 o'clock. I thought, I'll just go. Anyway, I got there. I said, "How long's the queue?" 5.5 hours. 2.5 hours in, the nurse comes out, says, "It's absolutely jammed." She goes, "Everyone, it's 7.5 hours now. If any of you can see a GP, you'd be well advised to do so." And about a quarter of the people left. I was thinking, why would you sit in A&E if you could go and see a doctor? I mean, I tried to see a doctor originally at the campsite. They have a list of useful numbers, one of which was doctor. I rang up and said, "Could I get an appointment to see a doctor?" They went, "No." The second question was, "Are you registered?" And I said, "No." I said, "Even more no." Anyway, so I ended up in A&E. Oh, but so last year I was let down in a competition. But so for most of the month I camped.
Yeah.
Right. But for the last 5 days, Stuart Lee, who you might have met, he said, "Come and stay with me in his luxury flat." And I say, going from camping to Stuart Lee's flat was like going from Verdun to Versailles. It was amazing. And he said, "You can, next year, why don't you come and stay with me?" And I've stayed with Stuart many times, and he can be a bit irritating. No, I like him, I love him, but for a month, Anyway, so that was one offer, and I'm getting my normal flat back. So I'm not going to camp. So I didn't, and then I emailed the landlord of the flat, and in May, and he said, "Yeah, you can have it, unless my daughter doesn't get this job in France, in which case she'll be there." I emailed again in June. Anyway, I'm sitting at Peterborough Station, no accommodation. And Stuart, due to technicalities, was only there for the last. I could only stay with him for the last 8 days, so I got nowhere to stay. Anyway, on the train, I emailed the landlord again, and he said, "Oh, what synchronicity? You can have the flat." So I spent a month indoors last year. Yes. But as an option, camping's pretty good. It's pretty cheap.
I don't know, but I don't think that should be, 34 Edinburghs you've done. You're in your mid-50s.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be. You shouldn't be camping. You've got an arm that doesn't work properly because they
got dreams.
I mean, at least make a documentary about it, about living in a tent.
It reminds me, the successor to the Tunnel Club was Up the Creek, which Malcolm Hardy used to running in Greenwich. And the first time I saw Johnny Vegas, very early on in his career, he was doing open spot, and I was on last, but I was upstairs, and he was dying on his arse. It wasn't going very well, but he's standing there with his gold lame trousers, haranguing the audience, going, "You're shitting on my dreams! You're shitting on my dreams!" Hilarious bloke.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine him not working in that environment. You would think he's sort of so low status.
I ran down the stairs.
Yeah.
It was just nothing like a spectacular death. He was very funny, but they didn't find him so.